So, am I happy? That's basically what spirituality and self-help and therapy and robbing a bank and committing acts of terror, that's what everything that people do is geared towards. You know, why am I not happy? How can I get happiness for myself? How can I be happy? How can I, stop suffering? Which is, you can call it synonymous. Stopping suffering, you could say, is the same as being happy. Like what Ramana Maharshi said, everyone desires to be happy all the time and never to suffer. And that's all that's driving our spirituality. That's all this is about. It's funny to look at it in such a simple way. That's all we're trying to do with all of our endeavors. And even the most disturbing, stuff that goes on in the world, the perpetrators of that want to be happy. They want to get out of their suffering. They don't want to suffer. And they're trying to somehow break through it by doing whatever they do. And that's what we're doing. And so when we really take a good, clear look at what's actually going on in our search for happiness, we can kind of come to some clarity around it. Like, for instance, say I'm looking around my basement here, and I'm thinking, God, I'm really not very happy. I really want to find happiness somehow. And I'm sort of looking out and I'm saying, okay, well, maybe if I rearrange the furniture in this room to the way that I'm imagining, maybe if the world out there fits my imagination of how it should be, I'll arrange the stuff behind me, and I'll arrange that shelf, and I'll arrange my hair and get my hair right. I'll work on that so that it lines up with what I currently think reality should be. And that should give me happiness, because then it'll fit. My version of reality in my head will fit with what's going on outside, because I'm arranging the outside to fit what I want inside. And that's a basic kind of thumbnail sketch of what people in the world attempt to do. And then we take that same dynamic into our internal environment and spirituality, and we say, okay, well, maybe if I rearrange all of my internal furniture, put these thoughts on hold and get these feelings sorted out and move this here and drop this and replace it with this, then at the end of the process I'll be happy, because I got the internal world that I consider so problematic, I got that sorted out. I couldn't do it with the external world, but I think I'll be able to do it with my internal world, and that should yield the happiness that I long for. And once we try that for a while, hopefully most of us come to some clarity about it sooner than later, and recognize, wow, I can't seem to find happiness, I can't seem to get happy for myself. And then we start to look at, what is myself? Who am I? And we realize, like, wait a minute, that's the same. It's the same as everything else. It's changing content. It's a bunch of thoughts that change and a bunch of identifications that we plug into. And so what's actually looking for the happiness? Who am I in this moment that looks for happiness? And if you really look closely at the one who's looking for happiness, you can't find such a one. You can't find the one that lacks happiness, because it's not a static thing. It's an idea that we bought into. It's a belief system. It's not like me without my happiness. Me who's looking for happiness is kind of like an entity or an object at the center of my life. It's an idea that I bought into. So what is happiness? Where is it? And how does one realize it? That's basically what spirituality is moving towards. And that's, in a way, that's the trouble, is that we feel like we have to move towards happiness and peace, or whatever we call that. Ananda, Sat Chit Ananda, right? It's beingness, becoming conscious of beingness, which is Ananda, which is happiness. So it's being conscious that is happiness. It's not me and my life and arranging it, or me and my thoughts about myself and figuring that out. It's being conscious of being. Being conscious of itself is happiness, and that is right here. And anyone who tells you that you have to find happiness somewhere, well, I mean, you have to wonder who they are that think they've found it. What's making somebody happy? If they're telling you that you just have to get X, Y, and Z before you can be happy, you just have to find the right person, you just have to be better at spirituality, you just have to learn how to, take care of something in a more effective way, and then you'll be happy. Are they happy? Am I happy? How do I, what am I telling myself about my state? A lot of time was spent telling myself that I'm happy and that everything's okay, and I would give a list as to why. It's like, well, I'm fine as long as this is okay and as long as that's okay. So I'm always like giving external reasons as to why I'm okay or not, or I'm suffering because my mom said this and my dad didn't do this when I was young, and all this other kind of stuff, which is a denial of beingness, which is a denial of being conscious in the moment, which is the happiness. It's the same thing. And I don't know how that is. I just know that it is. And that's all that's all I was looking for. Being conscious. Being happy, being conscious. Conscious of being happy. Sat Chit Ananda. And we just have to see it's right here. We just have to investigate that it's right here. We investigate what's here and we find that it's right here. It being. That's words fail all the time. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and here it is. Thank you.